to day 2 of PoshFest 2020. We have another amazing day planned for you.
That's right. Day 1 was filled with so much information and inspiration. Let us know what your favorite part of yesterday was here in the chat. And I don't know about you, but I still have all of the feels from that community video.
So many feels, and I have a feeling we're going to have even more after today. We also loved seeing each and every one of you post on Instagram using the official PoshFest 2020 hashtag. So let's see even more today. And you're most definitely want to keep your phones out because our first fireside chat is major.
Major, that's right. We're so very excited for this session. It might even be the greatest of all time. Please help me welcome businesswoman, tennis champion, and Poshmark board member, Serena Williams, to sit down and chat with founder and CEO, Manish Chandra.
Hello, everyone. It's so great to have you here, and I am so very honored to be joined by a face that you all recognize, Serena Williams, entrepreneur, one of the greatest players of all times, and our very own board member. Serena, thank you so much for joining us. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge what an unprecedented time it is for all of us since we last connected. What's so unique about this year is that despite it being one of the hardest we've experienced in our lifetime, it's something that we are all experiencing together. So let me just first start by asking you, how has the pandemic impacted your life and career, Serena?
It's been intense. It's been really intense. One thing that I've been saying is that they kind of crammed in my whole year and my whole season in like 8 weeks. So that's been really interesting. So it's like, it's been hard, but at the same time, it's like the least of my worries because this is a worldwide pandemic, and this is one thing that we're all going through. And it's not just one person, it's just like a whole, and it's not even one nation, it's literally worldwide. So that's kind of one way that I look at it.
One of the key themes that we've been focused on as a company and as a community this year is resilience. And there's, of course, no one who demonstrates it better than you in all areas of your life. Would you share a little bit of how resilience and perseverance has been a theme and how you've sort of been resilient and persevered through any challenges, particularly this year in face of COVID?
Yeah, I think this year has really been able to point out some opportunities where people need to be resilient. This is something that's not happening that's not happening, in one place, it's happening globally, right? So just to even sometimes, there's been so much, people have lost their jobs, health has gone down. It's just to even just get out of bed can be your resilience. For me, as a tennis player, all sport was canceled for a long time and we didn't know what was happening, what Grand Slams were coming up. So it took a lot of discipline for me to say, oh, this tournament might not happen, so I don't really necessarily have to go out there. So that was something that I was really proud of, just continuing to go out there and not necessarily preparing for a tournament, but thinking about, okay, this is going to make me a better player and better at what I do in my job, right? So that takes a very resilient attitude, and that's kind of like one experience. But there's definitely lots of experiences that I've been through just this past COVID to try to have a resilient attitude.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. In fact, talking a little bit about your business, in addition to being a world-class athlete, you've built an amazing set of businesses as an entrepreneur. So can we talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial career and specifically your investment firm, Serena Ventures? What inspired you to launch the firm and sort of where are you focused these days with your investments?
It's definitely been something that I've always wanted to do. I remember several years ago, it's been about 6, 7, 8 years that I always wanted to make investments, and I was trying to figure out a way how to do it. So I actually launched Serena Ventures back then, but really undercover. No one really knew that I was investing in, some of these companies, and I was, trying to get more involved. And of course, I heard that, at the time, less than 2% of female and women founders were getting some of the VC money. So for me, that stat was just so shocking. I was like, okay, well, I mean, what can I do about this? Like, how can I, if I had a company and I wanted to raise money for it, like that would mean that I wouldn't be able to have that opportunity. So for me, that was really important to just kind of raise awareness of that. And then instead of raising awareness and saying like, this is what we should be doing, I actually started to do something. Sorry, I have this one here. We work together at all times. So,
That is, hi, I love you.
I'm also like training and being a mom, so it's a lot. No, but it was that was something that I really wanted to do and that I really wanted to focus on. And so fast forward a few years and now we are doing a lot more and we're raising awareness in addition to doing something about it. And it's been really cool because now we just want to change the perception. We want to just say that we want to have the same opportunity as everyone else to fund a business. And even now, so more than ever, I think with COVID, you get to see that so many people are actually having to start their own business because they lost their jobs or they don't have anything else to do except for try to figure out a way to, make it work. So imagine if you can't have the same opportunity just because of who you are. And so I definitely wanted to try to do something with that.
So speaking of sort of diversity and your focus as a person from the very beginning, you've really been an advocate for different groups and different people who have not been properly represented. You've been a voice for women, for people of color, for young entrepreneurs. And that sort of whole pursuit for you has been very core to who you are. I mean, you've defied many different norms that were prevalent as you started your career. And your authenticity in terms of how you approach these things was very apparent to me even in our very first conversation when I realized how genuinely you had a connection, not just to the platform, but to also how people were making money on the platform and how they were using it to diversify their businesses. Can you share a little bit more about why diversity is even more critical in these times and what's your perspective on what we should all be thinking about and doing today?
Well, for me, it's always been something that's super important because I feel like in my job, I was the Black person in the complete sport that had zero diversity. So obviously it was something that kind of not even something that I attached myself to. It was just so natural. And I think one thing that I think we got from our first conversation is just the authenticity of everything that I do. I'm not trying to do anything because it's cool and it's great and it's a good opportunity to talk about, but this is something that's truly authentic, right? I have so many people that are on Poshmark and that are actually making a living off there, even before I was on the board. And I always thought that was such a good opportunity for people to be their own entrepreneurs and be their own bosses, which is another thing that I've kind of always done. So, I just feel like whatever I have been a part of, it's just been natural, like for me to want to talk about the importance of diversity because everyone on this planet is different and diverse, right? So we don't want to always have the same representation, the same people, and the same things. And that's one thing I feel like Poshmark has done really well, especially with their board, is just getting different views from all different kinds of people. And it is really the most diverse board I sit on. I sit on a couple, and they're pretty diverse, but it really speaks to how forward-thinking Poshmark has been.
No, thank you for that. And Serena, just on that topic, I know that you've joined a couple of boards. As you sort of make a decision to join a board of a company, what are the things you look for and sort of what's your criteria and approach to looking at that?
Yeah, I look for exactly that. I look for, okay, is this a company that really is embracing change and a company that really actually wants to see something different? And so that's one of the first things I look for. Also, I look for, is it something that I'm aware of? Do I know this company? Is it something that I like? I'm not going to join a board of a company that I don't believe in the product. So it's going to be hard for me to sit in a boardroom and just fight for something that, my heart's not invested in. Yeah, so I feel like those are two super components. And then, I have to make sure that I'm interested in it and make sure that it really speaks to me. And is it something that is what impact is it bringing? Is it bringing a negative impact? Is it promoting awful things, like things that I genuinely don't believe in morally? So that's also something else that I look for before I sit on boards.
Talking a little bit about, your different journeys. I mean, you are such a multidimensional person. In fact, I always am in awe of how you balance everything, how responsive you are to everything that's happening. What are sort of some of the synergies you've seen between your athletic career and now sort of a multidimensional entrepreneurial career?
The main thing is hard work. You're not going to get around that, whether you're playing sports or you're sitting in a meeting or you're in discipline as well. I think that just goes through everything. It's from going through the materials, going through board materials, going through, the company, having an eye on it. Like, you can't do that if you're not disciplined to sit down, look at those materials and say, what is it about this that I can kind of pick apart and see what we can do better. And I definitely get that, I think, from tennis, because I have to have discipline to go out there every day. On the days that I don't want to go out there, the days that I really just want to stop and just take weeks off, you can't really do that. So it's so similar yet so different, but it's really very similar in a lot of ways, in a lot of different aspects.
Our community is made up of millions of entrepreneurs, and many of them are running businesses, managing some jobs. Many of them are mothers and fathers, managing families, schools, and especially right now, when kids are at home and we just saw, they are sort of part of your life. One of the biggest topics for them is time management and prioritization. How do you sort of prioritize your time?
Yeah, you know what? My schedule is so crazy, and I have so many things that I want to do that I have to have like a set schedule of everything and every day. So I have priorities. Like, I have, my tennis. I make sure I do that, and I have a set time for everything. And then I have a set time for my daughter as well, because I want to make sure there's not times in the day where I'm not spending time with her, because that's really important to me. So I have my priorities of things that I want to do. And I've learned actually, and when COVID first started, COVID-19, it was just like, well, this is easy, this is cool. And I feel like I got actually busier as I did less. So it was like, I really needed to set times, and I really needed to have priorities, and I really needed to figure out, what was what. And that's when I was like, I have to have a really strict schedule.
Now, with having accomplished so much at such a young stage in your life, Serena, what sort of is something that you wanted to do but have never done before and you plan to do?
The only thing that I would love to do is just sit in my bed and do nothing. I think doing traveling since they were 14 or 13 is ideal. But of course, when I have that opportunity to do that, I'm going to be like, I need to get up and I need to do something. So yeah, we'll see.
Just before we wrap up, love to sort of hear any advice you have for our community, which is, obviously in the same boat, dealing with, loss of job, loss of income, health problems, family pressures, and then, of course, all of the isolation that comes with COVID-19.
Listen, we talked a little bit about resilience, and that's something that I've had to do. I have to be resilient, not only in my tennis career, but I have a fashion company. And, I think COVID-19 and having a commerce business doesn't really go hand in hand. But I had to rally my team, and I had to tell them that we can do this, and we had to be creative. And that's one thing I love about Poshmark is you can be creative on here, and you can start thinking of different things. And I love that we're moving into different categories that we can sell. And we just had to think out of the box, and we, meaning I as the leader, and I had to rally my team and say, like, we're going to make it. And, we did. And so things can always, unfortunately, sometimes be really hard, but it's those tough moments when you get through them that really make you realize what kind of person you are, what good of a mom you are, what good of a sister, brother, whatever, father, it doesn't matter, just to get you through those moments. And if life was so easy, it wouldn't create character and it wouldn't create who you could end up being.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. You promised us in 2019 you'll join us, and I know it's been hard for you to make this time. We really, really appreciate it. Resilience, discipline, hard work. Let's give Serena a big hand. Thank you so much, Serena.
Thank you.
Wow. If that is not the most amazing way to start the day, then I don't know what is. What really stuck with me was when Serena said, if life were easy, it wouldn't create character. And that's just such a great reminder that we will get through this together and come out stronger.
Yes, I loved that quote too. It was so perfect. And I love how relatable she is. I could very much relate to having my little one sitting right next to me, right off screen. Oh man, so good. But now let's move right along to our next session.
Let's do it, especially because I know everyone is on the edge of their seats or their couches or their beds waiting for this year's Hackathon Reveal.
Yes, our product and engineering teams really love to hear your feedback, not just at PoshFest, but all year round. We know they're super excited to share this year's hackathon results with you. So please help me welcome Vanessa, Roger, and Jen from Team Posh.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the PoshFest Hackathon Reveal. I am so excited to be here. I'm Vanessa Wong, Senior Director of the product team.
I'm Jen Tu, an Associate Director on the product team.
And I'm Roger Shell, Engineering Director on the Cloud Platform team here at Poshmark.
You guys ready for the real deal?
Yes, ready.
Roger, you ready?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I'm super ready.
Okay, let's do this. We are actually launching our first set of features, which are our focus on the closet. We know that this particular one has been a top request. We are introducing search in closets. People have been wanting this for so long, for a way to search through their closet or through anyone's closet. And what we're launching is a way for you to search quickly through a closet so you can find that item to bundle or find certain items to share. I know this will be incredibly useful to you sellers like you who have a ton of listings. We hope you enjoy this one. Jen, what do you think of this feature?
This is awesome. Vanessa, I think this means I can go in your closet and I can search for a leopard print neon fuzzy vest. Is that right?
That's right. You can do that. This will be coming out soon. Okay, on to the next feature. Super excited about this one. We are launching the capability to sort your closet by most likes. Again, this is a request that's been there for a long time, and we're making this possible. And this will be a great, easy way for you to figure out what offers likers to send out and what's popular in your closet. And you'll be able to do this with anyone's closet. Okay, this doesn't stop here. We have another closet feature. I know everyone will love this. Who loves posh parties?
I do.
Me.
Well, this is the feature for you. We know party time can be really, really fun, and we want to make that party time even more efficient for you all. I know oftentimes that you aren't sure if this item fits this party's criteria. We're introducing the ability to filter by party for your closet. So whatever party going on, you will see the listings that match that party. Parties are great because it's a great place and time to share your listings. I know oftentimes I've had a ton of success selling my items after I share it to a party. This is great because you can help you easily find what to share to a party, and you can continue to spread the love by going to another person's closet and being able to filter easily what matches the closet criteria and sharing their listings. I know this is going to be super great and fun and easy for everyone. All right, Jen, are you ready to show the next set of features? I know I'm super excited about your features.
Yeah, I am. So the next thing that we'll be building soon is we will be adding search to my purchases. So in case you've ever wanted to search through your purchases, you will now have the ability to be able to search by listing title, seller username, and even order ID. So in case you're like me and you buy something like a leopard print neon fuzzy vest, you can now search for it in your purchases so you know exactly where it is. Or if your family questions you on your purchase history and asks you how much something costs that you bought a year ago, you can easily find it through search. And this, and not only are we adding search to my purchases, we will also be adding it to my sales. So in a similar way, you will also be able to search for listing title, buyer username, order ID in your My Sales. And we will also be adding filters to My Sales. So in My Sales, you'll be able to filter by order status. So you can look at where are all of my sales that are shipped, as well as by order sold date. So in case you went on a vacation or you put your closet on hold this summer for a couple of days, you can say, hey, I want to filter by those 5 days, and I want to know all the sales that came in through those 5 days. You can do that now through filters. But wait, there is more for My Sales. We are also going to be adding the ability to do bulk label printing. And what that means is instead of printing a shipping label one at a time, you can now do all of them at once. And because we're going to give you the ability to download all the shipping labels at once, you're also going to have the ability to mark all the orders as shipped at the same time as well. How exciting is that?
Thanks, Jen. I'm super psyched to announce a couple of additional updates to bundles that showed up over and over in the feedback that you guys all submitted. The first being what we're calling Bundle from Likes. With Bundle from Likes, we'll automatically create a bundle every single time someone browsing your closet likes an item in there. This will allow you to start a conversation and suggest styling tips, or suggest additional pieces that help them get that bundle discount. Awesome. And finally, in the spirit of KonMari, we're also happy to announce that coming soon, you'll be able to ensure that your bundle summary page sparks joy by deleting past bundles that may be empty, expired, or just not relevant anymore. We've gotten a lot of feedback on how it has not been sparking joy recently because of stale bundles. And so we're giving you guys all a tool to fix that.
Well, we hope you all have checked out the latest filters. Manish announced yesterday that they were available yesterday. So if you haven't, I would encourage you guys to download the latest app update and you could check it all out. They're all new and improved, and really our goal is to make your photos look even more amazing. I'm really excited about them.
All of these features that Vanessa, Jen, and I ran through will be rolling out in the next couple of months. So make sure to keep your app up to date and stay tuned. As we close, I just wanted to thank all of you in our community for really making Poshmark what it is today. All the different features and tools that we create on engineering get elevated to a completely different level when they're in your hands to share the Posh love with each other. I also wanted to extend a very big thank you to the entire design, product, and engineering teams that push all these features. If any of you guys have any questions or follow-ups, or even just want to chat, the product and engineering teams will be available to chat in the App Me Anything sessions following this presentation. I know I speak for myself personally, as well as the team as a whole, when I say that we really do love, chatting and answering questions and just getting to know each and every one of you guys in the community. So, make sure to come by the session and say hi. Thank you.
Wow, Amanda, I can't even decide which feature I'm most excited about. That was epic.
It's a super exciting lineup. I hope all of you are super excited about it as well. And after such a fantastic morning, we're going to move into a quick break.
Yes, and during the break, we'll be sharing a video from one of our sponsors, Hulken, featuring some of our fellow community members. Please enjoy.
3 words that would best describe the Hulken to me: uniqueness,
strong,
functional.
and I would also just call it perfect.
The Hulken is perfect for postures because it can even carry a weekend's worth of sales. It makes moving inventory so much easier.
You can literally throw as much as you want into these bags with all the different sizes and wheel it onto the post office and say, goodbye, Posh Packages.
It has been awesome to be able to connect with other members from the community all over the country.
Posh and Sips have definitely been something that have been important to me during the pandemic because it provides me with the opportunity to connect with my fellow Poshers, for us to kind of get together, maybe get dressed, have a coffee virtually, and share all things that are Posh.
Especially during these really hard times. I'm so appreciative to Poshmark for all the positive vibes, the encouragement, and the support.
Like to host a Posh and Sip and keep sharing the Posh love.
time we're in right now with Corona, it's been really hard to stay connected with people, and this has been a great way to have people to talk to. Talking to all the Posh mentors and getting great insight and advice from them has been so beneficial. And this summer was honestly my best season for sales that I've ever had, and I think I owe a lot of that to the great insight I got from my fellow college Poshers and just talking to them and getting insight from them.
I've made some of my closest friends being a rep, and although we're all across the country, we always make time to talk to each other, especially during these times. Being a rep is one of the best things I've done in college, and I can't wait for the next semester to begin.
I've done it all 4 years of my college career, and I loved it. I loved it so much. So the fact that I got to come back and be a mentor and still be a part of like this huge community of like loving, excited, just successful people. I'm so grateful.
Welcome back, everyone. Now that we've had a little bit of a break and learned more about one of our sponsors, Hulken, I'm super excited to let you guys know that you have an opportunity to win one of 15 large Hulken bags. We're hosting a giveaway on the Poshmark Instagram right now, so head over that way to see if you have a chance to be one of those lucky winners.
That's amazing. I wish I could win one of those bags. Oh, so good. But let's move on to our next session. Like everything else in our lives, 2020 has brought so much change to the fashion and e-commerce world. We're excited to invite two people who have their pulse on these changes, everything from merchandise shifts to industry trends and a whole lot more.
Yes, these two are the experts when it comes to this. So please welcome our co-founder, resident boss babe, and SVP of New Markets, Tracy Sun, and our VP of New Markets, Adam Crouch, to share their insights and what these changes mean for you.
Let's go.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our industry trends discussion. I'm Adam Crouch, VP New Markets. I work on creating new and exciting ways to expand Poshmark. And I'm here with our co-founder, Tracy Sun, who you all know and love. So Tracy, what are we talking about today?
Well, we're really talking about 2020, which has been such a crazy year. I don't even know what normal is, but that's not the topic of our conversation, so I digress. What we're really talking about are some of the trends that have happened in 2020 that have really disrupted the industry that Poshmark, as well as all of you, operate in today. Specifically, there's 4 trends that we want to really chat about today. One is just the collapse of physical retail. It's happened earlier this year, and we're still going through it right now. The second is a shift in what people are shopping for. So what are the merchandising trends that we're seeing in the industry overall? The third, which is one of my favorite trends, is just the power of sustainability and resale and what we're seeing there. And then finally, the last one is just the importance of human connection and how this year has amplified that need and what we can all do about it. So that's what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about the industry, but also what it means for Poshmark and all of you listening in today. So Adam, I'm going to kick it back to you. You want to get us started?
Yeah, so the first trend is the shift from physical retail to e-commerce. So in 2019, 80% of clothing sales still happened in a brick and mortar store, which is pretty hard to believe for all of us Poshers, but it's true. And in March, that went to 0. People who hadn't shopped online much suddenly had no alternative. And they built up new habits, and these habits will stick. It's never going back. That shift to e-commerce isn't a new phenomenon, but the pandemic has pulled forward 10 years of e-commerce growth, 10 years of change in the retail industry into just 1 month. And malls have been slowly dying for years. And among the big brands and retailers, this has pushed some of them over the edge. 21 major retailers have filed for bankruptcy so far this year, with more still to come. And a lot of the names that we grew up with won't be around in the same way anymore. And malls will probably never be big again.
It's crazy to think about that. I mean, we all can see what's going on and we all see the news and we see the collapse of these brands. Like you said, we grew up with them. And to see big behemoths they're kind of the stalwarts of the industry, to see them fall or struggle is a bit destabilizing. But it's not just the big brands. A lot of physical retail has shuttered this year. So of course we see a lot of independent brands and stores on Main Street of America that have had to shut their doors. Even if they wanted to stay open, they've had to shut their doors and or buyers aren't coming. So what we're seeing is that we are a very resilient country and world. And so shopping is coming back again. People demand is happening. But what's really interesting is it's shifting online as some of these physical stores are closed, but the trends are shifting. What we're seeing is that people are spending their money as they start to feel more secure in what's going on in the world, but a lot of it is going online. And even as stores are open, the habit that's forming for online shopping is one of those things that we don't think is ever going to go away. So I think what's really interesting for Poshmark platform and for sellers is we are an online community, and we have seen a lot of first-time shoppers come to us for the first time. And so we are in this moment of transition. And I think one of those things that always happens in chaos and transition is, I know for me at least, you kind of hold on to the way things used to be done, and you're like, almost like, can we go back to normal, like I said? But it's not going back to normal, and the industry is changing, and Poshers and Poshmark are part of that. And so I think one of the things that we think about is, where are the open holes? And as soon as we let go of what we want the world to be, we can spot those holes a little bit better. And so I think that's where Poshmark community is today. Our seller community is what's changing in your own business, what's changing in what's going on with your buyers, and how can you keep an eye on that and just keep really nimble and loose, because that's what we have to do to really transition to the future, is have this mindset of preparation. Adam, anything else you want to add?
When you're prepared, when you're prepared, you can jump on the opportunities that arise. And so, one of those that's very relevant for a lot of Poshers is that the level of unsold inventory among brands and retailers, it's just unprecedented. It's so much larger than during the 2008 crisis, when sites like Gilt were created. And so this is creating some really interesting sourcing opportunities for Poshers, particularly as demand has shifted to different types of categories.
Yeah, absolutely. And just anecdotally, I was donating some stuff to Goodwill this weekend, and I was talking to my local Goodwill chapter, and they said that they are just so backlogged because so many people are giving away a lot of their stuff. They're cleaning out their houses and giving it to Goodwill. So this is particularly exciting, I know, for a lot of our resellers who like to shop the bins. So that brings us to our second trend that we wanted to talk about, which is just a shift in merchandise and the merchandise that's moving. So as I mentioned, people are starting to shop again, and they're shopping online. But what's really cool to see in the trends, and we're seeing this industry-wide, but also on Poshmark, is that as people sit at home, that change is really affecting what categories or what they want to shop for. So for example, what people are like, oh, Home Depot is mobbed, right? Because everyone's sitting at home and they want to pick up that project, that home improvement project that they've been thinking about. They want to decorate their coffee table. They want to finally put art up on the wall or make their bedroom feel more cozy. So people are staying home. Home trends are up overall. Activewear, athleisure, comfort, as you spend more time at home is really important. And of course, things like jewelry or beauty are really driving the trends. And it's coming as expense what it's taking the place of is more of your formal wear as events are canceled and, weddings don't look the same anymore. And so a lot of that going out clothes is starting to wane.
Yeah, and for all of us to go to the office over Zoom, it's kind of all about the shoulders and up now, and then on bottom we're all wearing pajama pants.
I'm wearing pajama pants now. Come on.
It's a little too hot. Shorts. It's nice to be able to wear shorts, though.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other really big category is face masks. So people will definitely notice your mask much more than the rest of your outfit. I know in my family we got so many cute prints for the kids. My daughter, her preschool just opened back up, and she's loving her masks with pink unicorns and duckies. It's really adorable. And another thing is that a lot of people are changing size during this pandemic, both up and down. And so they need to replace clothing, which is helping to drive demand. And we also should all keep in mind that many of your loyal repeat buyers may have changed size. So sizes that didn't perform well for you before might start to pick back up. Yeah, so our third trend is about the rise of resale and sustainability. So this crisis has really hit home for many of us. It's causing a lot of people to reevaluate their priorities and what's important to them. And then on top of that, we have wildfires blotting out the sun on the West Coast and hurricanes on the Gulf Coast. So sustainability is on people's minds. I saw that McKinsey had some data. 57% of consumers say they've made significant changes to their lifestyle to reduce their environmental impact during COVID-19. That was just mind-blowing for me. Sustainability is a thing that people have always said they value, but never actually took. A lot of people did not take much action on it, but now people really are acting on it.
It's really true. And I feel like this crazy time that we're living in is shining a spotlight on areas that we've ignored. And so for many of us, sustainability has always been something we're really interested in. But when you're at home and you're watching the world unfold, it's like a spotlight on what are my values and can I act upon them? And it's not just COVID. Even before the pandemic, McKinsey and Business of Fashion, they published a report saying that the younger generations, particularly Gen Z, but other generations as well, are increasingly stating that they will pay more money for products that have a less negative impact on the environment. And that's something, when I was a teenager, a lot of people said they cared about sustainability, but what we're seeing with some of the younger generations, they're willing to act on it. And that's a pretty cool trend to keep your eye on, especially for Poshmark resellers.
Yes, absolutely. And another shift is that, of course, value is even more important now. So everyone's looking for ways to cut back in their family budget. A lot of people have either been hit hard or are worried about it. And so, everybody's looking for a good deal now, another thing drawing them into resale.
Yeah, and because of all these trends, we're seeing a lot of shoppers, just in general, shop resale for the first time. I think this is another trend that's obviously so near and dear to my heart. I can see the difference between the attitude towards buying secondhand when we started Poshmark and today is like night and day difference. And so as more and more shoppers explore this wonderful opportunity of secondhand, it really brings a lot of new buyers and a lot of new interest to a place like Poshmark. And so I wish that this was an interactive panel because I wish I could ask you all how many new Poshers have you helped make their first secondhand purchase today?
Absolutely. And, as far as what this means for the Poshers, continue to invest in your reselling. Poshmark is now even more relevant than before, and your businesses will continue seeing those benefits.
Yeah, I really am so excited to see the future of so many of your businesses. And we're always here working away, grinding behind the scenes to help deliver more and more support for you in the future. All right, so on to our third trend, the importance of social connection. I think this is a really interesting trend because like many of the trends we're talking about today, they all started years ago. Slowly, they started. And this year, we just accelerated all of them together. A lot of it was pandemic driven. And so when we talk about the importance of social connection, what we've really seen starting a few years back is the beginning of just an epidemic of loneliness. As more and more people are not seeing each other face to face and turn to their social friends, they're losing connection. And this is something we've seen pre-COVID, but with COVID, now you can't even see the people in your inner circle oftentimes. And so what we're seeing is that loneliness has really exploded in a way we haven't seen before. It's so true. And there's been a surge in demand for anything that helps with this, right? For example, I even saw that online multiplayer games have seen their usage more than double during the pandemic. People are looking for that connection that they have trouble doing in real life now. Yeah, and of course, Poshmark being a platform and a community that is built to really reach out and engage with each other and also with our shoppers. This is it is the future of not just buying and selling, but also a way in which we can feel a little bit less alone in the world. And so I think it's just a beautiful purpose to selling on Poshmark is in addition to enjoying running your store and meeting your shoppers, is now there's this added component that has nothing to do with money, which is you're engaging with a human being that you may be the first person they're engaging with that day, or you may be the highlight of their day. So I take that to be a pretty big responsibility for all of us, but good thing that our platform's built for it and we're up for the challenge. Absolutely. And make sure you cultivate your specific group of buyers, build that connection with people, and really help turn them, you do that and it'll really help turn them into repeat buyers. It's true. Like the love notes in your packages will mean more today than they meant before. So keep up the Posh love, and I think we'll come out of this together. Absolutely. So yeah, and the industry has always been shifting in this direction towards what everybody at Poshmark has been doing, but it's really the new center of the fashion retail industry. You're in the right spot. Yeah, and I said this earlier, and I'll say it again. Things are changing, and they're changing so quickly. So it's very hard to predict the future. But these trends that we called out are trends that we're seeing that point in the direction of social selling and connection with community, all things that are values both within Poshmark headquarters, but also all of you who have picked up those values and really share it in how you run your business. It's not just about money. Money is important, but it's also about love and respect for one another. Whether they're people who have shopped from us before or people who we're meeting for the first time. And so we are excited to look into the future to see what it holds for us. We're excited to co-author that with you. And that's a wrap for us today. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you all very soon.
That was super insightful. I have so much information that I want to reflect on. And honestly, I recognize some of the changes they mentioned in my own behavior. Hello, athleisure.
And goodbye formal wear, goodbye heels. We don't know them, but we know and feel the shifts happening this year. And what I took away is that Poshmark and all of you are really the future. And again, have this massive opportunity as resale is on the rise and more people are drastically making changes to their lives.
Yes, and this is the perfect segue into our final session of the broadcast, as it's all about sustainability. Leading this conversation is someone who's very passionate on the topic, Associate Director of New Markets, Camille Ford.
Yes, so please welcome Camille, and please welcome activist, actor, and aspiring regenerative human, Nat Kelley, to the PoshFest virtual stage to talk about her No New Clothes Challenge and the importance of extending the life cycle of new clothes.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Camille Ford, and I am Associate Director of New Markets here at Poshmark. And today I have the incredible pleasure of speaking with actress, activist, and aspiring regenerative human, Nat Kelley. Thank you for joining us, Nat.
Thank you so much, Camille. It's such a pleasure to be here talking about fashion, which is something that is so near and dear to our hearts, and how we can still be fashionable, but also be responsible, for our impact on the planet and on the people who make our clothes.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to dig into this topic with you today. Many of the resellers on Poshmark are already starting to help change and shift the narrative around how are people thinking about their clothing, and getting people really comfortable with the idea of, an item can have a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, if you will, life, an owner. And I know over the past several months that you've been on your own journey to really rethink and reimagine your relationship to clothing. And so just to kick us off, tell us a little bit about what prompted this shift for you.
I've done a 180 degree. I think this time last year, you would have found me getting ready to go to Fashion Week or something. And I had a huge wake up around the fires in Australia. When I went home this last New Year's, the fires were just ravaging my country. 1 billion animals burnt, in those fires. And we lost 17 million acres of land. So very heavy tragedy and you're probably thinking, like, how does this relate to clothes? But I was at home and people were still trying to celebrate Christmas and New Year's. And I was also in that mode. And even though I was mourning this heavy tragedy, I was like, oh, but I still have to look good for New Year's. And I went into my favorite store to get a New Year's outfit, and I walked out with 7 outfits, most of which I have not worn. And that was when I knew I had a problem. I'm like, these fires are ravaging the country, but yet my head is thinking that I have to buy something new for New Year's because I won't be accepted or seen as cool or hot if I don't. And the programming became so clear to me. Like, wow, I talk a lot about the earth and my love for her, but the way that I live and my values are not reflecting that. My values are not showing up in my choices, specifically in my relationship to fashion, because I was like, oh, I've cut out meat and, I carbon offset my flights, but I was really trying to avoid the reality that my fashion choices were also really harming the environment. And that's something that, I started to really look into after that experience in Australia. Like, wow, if I wanted to align my values with my fashion choices, what would that look like? And that led me down a path of researching. I watched some incredible movies like The River Blue and The True Cost of Fashion. And I was horrified at what I had been not only participating in, but promoting. Like, I was being paid to show up at fashion parties and events and go front row and promote promote new seasons of clothes and bags. And when I realized the actual impact that was having on the earth, I was ashamed. And I said to myself, I need to use my platform and use this privileged position I have to be an example. And I'm going to show everybody how to do it. And so I did a complete 180. I committed to no new clothes for a year. By the way, have been loving this new lifestyle of mine where I'm not always in this state of coveting and desiring something new and what's the latest trend. I feel liberated from that whole system. I feel like I've been dressing better than ever, and I've discovered amazing new ways to enjoy fashion. It's not like I'm just going to like stop enjoying fashion or stop caring about what I look like. I'm just going to reframe how I do it. And that led me to Poshmark, and I've been able to sell some clothes on there, and the money that I've made, I've given to charities that are very important to me, like the Garment Workers Relief Fund. Let's help the people who are making our clothes, because they're really, they have not been looked after during this pandemic. We need to take responsibility for them, and a couple of other charities. So I've just like been really enjoying how to like stay true to who I am, which is somebody that loves clothes and loves to dress up, loves the transformative power of fashion, but also stay true to the person who I am that doesn't want to destroy and harm the earth in the process.
You can see just from the way that you're talking about it, there's this energy that's coming out of you. I think when we were speaking before, you mentioned this bliss state that you're in, in the No New Clothes Challenge. What has maybe been a little bit tough along the way? Like, what are maybe some things you discovered about yourself that you didn't know?
What was tough was coming face to face with my overconsumption. I recently downsized from this massive 3-bedroom house to like a much nicer, more manageable, smaller place with a big garden. And I have almost zero storage. And that was really hard for me because I had so much crap, and I had crap like, also I get gifted things, which is also not great. But like, you know, I couldn't believe the amount of stuff that I had accumulated and the amount of things that I had spent money on. I was like, if I add up the money that I spent on clothes that I never wore or that didn't really look good on me, I'm embarrassed and horrified. And so that was kind of the hard part, was realizing that like, I wasn't always this savvy, fashionable person that I thought I was, because if I was so savvy about fashion, then why was I spending ridiculous amounts of money on clothes that didn't suit me or I wasn't going to wear? And that really led me to explore the psychological aspect behind the fashion industry. Like, why did I feel the need to, I would say, why did I feel pressured to buy into trends when those things don't look good on me or are not really like, they're not really my style? But I just realized how crazy the programming is. For me to be buying things that I didn't even really like, that I was like, am I even going to be able to sell these furry shoes that I bought like on a whim? You know? And so that was the tough part, is realizing like, wow, I'm a bit of a sheep. I'm a bit of a follower. And here I thought I was this like trend setting, like, you know, like fashionista. No way. I was just as much of a sheep as the rest of them. And so kind of reclaiming my own sense of style and who I am, separate from this ridiculous, exclusive, seasonal world of fashion that we're told we need to follow. I just feel like I've got my life back. I've got my creativity back. I've got my freedom back. I'm blissed out. I'm trying to see how long I can go on this No New Clothes Challenge. I could extend to 2 years, 5 years, maybe my whole life, especially now that I've discovered resale. I'm like, if I ever feel the need to buy designer clothes again, then I can just buy it secondhand. Because, and this is the point I want to get to, there are already enough clothes in the world. And people ask me this all the time. What are some sustainable designers and brands that you like? And I say, I'm sorry, but if you truly want to be kind to this earth, then you buy something that has already been made. Because until the fashion industry renews themselves, rebrands themselves, reworks themselves to be regenerative and help the earth rather than harm it, then buying anything new is supporting a cruel and unjust and oppressive system. And you have to ask yourself whether you want to keep supporting that or not.
Yeah, the unlearning process and the unraveling process is never easy. But I do want to hit on something you just said, that term regenerative. Let's talk about that a little bit, because for a lot of the people that watch, they might not be aware of, what does this even mean? And what does it mean in relation to fashion?
Good question. And I didn't know this word until the beginning of this year. And we all know what degenerate means. When you call someone a degenerate, it actually means depleting resources. To live degeneratively is to take without giving back. You know, abuse, deplete. it's having a harmful impact on the world. And I had been living as a degenerative human. All I was doing was consuming new clothes, consuming food and products, and consume, throw away, consume, throw away. If you think about how many billions of people there are on the planet, the earth cannot support this kind of linear, disposable economy where we open a plastic bottle, drink some water, throw the plastic bottle away. That's how we treat our clothes. Go to Forever 21 or whatever, buy a look, wear it once, throw it away, or donate it, which is, by the way, guys, the equivalent to throwing something away. And we'll get into that later. And this is linear, and this is not a circular economy. Eventually, all the things that we throw away, they don't just disappear because we put them in the trash. They're going somewhere. They're either being burnt. We're burning unwanted clothes at an unprecedented rate, sending greenhouse gases into the back into the atmosphere, or we're putting them into landfill. Our landfills can't keep up, or we're shipping them to Africa. So there's something wrong with the system. So that led me to start to investigate other ways of existing on this planet. And that led me to find regenerative agriculture. And now people talk about regenerative agriculture a lot when it comes to food. And basically it's a way, so regenerative means leaving the earth better than when you found it. And this is the key here, because sustainable is a big, it's a cool word right now. But I want to be clear that the state of the planet right now is so bad that if we were to just sustain it and go carbon neutral, we're still going to lose our earth because things are so bad. We need to make it better. And that's what the concept of regenerative farming and regenerative lifestyles is. The way, where the way that you were living and the way that you were growing plants to make your food and to make textiles for your clothes is actually leaving the earth better than when you found it. So I'll give an example. So cotton. We think cotton, okay, that's a sustainable, healthy, eco-friendly fabric, right? Well, actually, it takes 3 years of drinking water for one human to make one cotton t-shirt. Just think on that when places like California and Australia are in a constant state of drought. Is that sustainable? No. Even though we think this is an eco-friendly textile. By the way, I'm talking about conventionally farmed cotton here because you can farm cotton in a better way. I won't get into that now. But by comparison, there are fabrics like Hulken, which is made from agave in Mexico. Now you can mycelium, which is the fungal network underneath the ground, in the soil. It's the fungal. It's a network of fungi. They can make leather, fake quote unquote leather from mycelium. So if you compare the two, like if you have a cotton t-shirt that's conventionally farmed, which is depleting our water systems, which is probably blasted with pesticides and other chemicals to get to grow, or you buy something made from mycelium or Hulken, which are regenerative textiles that are actually leaving the earth better. They're regenerating the soil the more we grow them. So what makes sense for a planet that is, to be very honest, dying right now? What makes sense to support? And so this is where regenerative agriculture in fashion gets really exciting. And if my explanation wasn't good enough, I encourage everybody. Vogue did an article on this. So Google Vogue regenerative agriculture. There's another great book called Fiber Shed. We need everybody to go get educated on this because it's still a very new concept, but it could be the thing that turns us around, turns this situation around. And that is very exciting. If your fashion choices could not only just not harm the earth, but actually make them better, I think that's what we can be aiming for or should be aiming for, right?
Absolutely. And because as we reimagine, that is the future, right? And that's the future that we want. So we need to start to build towards that. But also,
just one more thing I want to say about that, just really quickly. Imagine buying a full outfit made from regenerative textiles. You've got your mycelium leather bag and your Hulken cotton top. And then when you're done with it, you put it in your compost bin and it decomposes and you can grow fruit from it. That's circular. That's a circular fashion economy where what we use, we can then give back to the earth and feed the earth instead of just piling up in landfills. And now I'll let you talk.
I love it. I love it. But so as we do reimagine like what fashion looks like, what is the role of resale? I know you touched on this a little bit, but let's go back to that topic. Like, what is the role of resale as we start to reimagine how we do things differently and better?
Well, the role of resale is going to be very important in this new fashion, this new world of fashion that we're trying to build, hopefully out of the ashes of the old world, okay? And that is because we need to free ourselves from the programming that we have to have new things all the time, especially when, as I've just said, these ways of making new clothes are so bad for the earth, so toxic for our waterways. So I said this before, if you really care about the earth, if you really also are a woman and care about, if you consider yourself a feminist and you care about the conditions of the factories where women are making our clothes, then you will extricate yourself from the fashion world of new clothes every season, and you will start to embrace the world of resale and making use of the clothes that are already out there, and that extending the value of these pieces that have already been made. The resources have already been taken up to make these clothes. Some beautiful woman, hopefully not child, worked very hard to get that garment to you, you know, in that form. And for you to wear something once or twice and throw it away is doing those resources and those humans such a disservice. So if we can extend the life cycle of our clothes, and that's what Poshmark is doing so beautifully, then we are making such big strides in doing our part to take care of our beautiful earth and to take care of one another.
I love that. And I think this it doesn't always feel like a big stride, right? If it can be like a small action, it doesn't have to be this big momentous thing.
But it does have a big impact. It's such a small action, but it does have a big impact. And it's something we can all do. It's so doable. I'm not asking everybody to go out there and start their own regenerative fashion label. Although if you do, I will be so happy and I will support you. But I'm saying like this is something we can all do starting now, which is instead of taking your items that you don't want anymore to the Goodwill and thinking that somebody who really needs it is going to be able to receive it. Because by the way, 90% of the clothes that we donate do not go to people in need. They end up being burnt or shipped over to countries like Haiti. So rather than doing that and just being in this old cycle of disposability, like I just encourage everybody, if you have something that like it's a garment, it has value, and you want that value to be appreciated by somebody else, and you don't feel comfortable disposing of it like that, put it up on a site like Poshmark. See if somebody else wants to buy it and treasure it and take care of it, and make yourself some money in the meantime. I think it's a win-win.
That's great. That's great advice. So as we, I think, are coming close to the end, what's one piece of advice that you would offer to folks who might be just starting out on this journey? So of course, putting things up on Poshmark and really starting to participate in the resale economy. But in addition to that, if you just don't know much about the space, what advice would you give for folks who are looking to learn more, or really just embark on the beginning of the journey? You kind of think back to where you were this time last year.
I would say, and this is going to seem like a weird answer, but really be mindful of the information that you're taking in on social media, and really be mindful of the fact that there's a system out there, a corporate, patriarchal, greedy, capitalist system that wants you to feel inferior and inadequate when you look at certain photos of influencers and models, like modeling certain clothes, and they pay a lot of money to like brainwash you into thinking that you are not good enough or you're not lovable enough unless you look like this or are wearing that outfit. And I have to say that as somebody who loved fashion and started to follow like some of my favorite designers and people, fashionable people, when I took stock of everybody that I was following and I took a break and just unfollowed everybody and just eliminated those kind of distractions in my life, I felt so much better. My self-esteem improved. And I started to look at the clothes in my closet differently. Instead of thinking like, oh, you're not what I was looking for. It's not what I saw on this Instagram post. I want something else. I started looking at all my clothes like, thank you. I love you. I want to wear you. Oh, I want to give you a new life. I haven't worn you in so long. Maybe I can mix you with this and that. And it just freed me up creatively because it meant that I was able to really enjoy the pieces that I already had. Whereas before, and this is such a good example, like, you know, I had like 3 unopened boxes from, I won't name the retailer, sitting in my closet. I already knew what was in them. And I was already scrolling for some more. And that was also an aha moment because I was like, wow, I'm actually here looking to buy new stuff when I have boxes of unopened stuff in my closet. And I know everybody's not in a position to, like, you know, I'm in a privileged position to be able to have the money to do that. But I think everybody can relate just on a programming level, because whether it's like high-end retailers or whether you're just like itching to go back to Zara or Forever 21 to get the latest blazer, it's the same mentality. It's that what you have isn't enough. And I'm just here to tell you, and this is my piece of advice, that that is actually untrue. And that is because you are the victim of this very sophisticated programming. And if you can decide to deprogram yourself, it will involve unfollowing a lot of people, but your mental health will thank you. And so will your bank account.
I love that. I love that. And also, I just think ending on the note of you are enough is a good reminder that oftentimes we all need.
You are enough. You're enough. You're enough. And your clothes are enough. And if you think they're not, then have a clothing swap with your friends. Because I guarantee you, that's another thing that I love. There's something in your closet that they'll love and vice versa. You can play some music, like make it a day. Like, I love doing that with my girlfriends. And let's start, I'm assuming most of the people watching this are women. It's going to have to be up to us to shift the way things are going right now in the world. The men have been in charge for too long. And when unbalanced masculinity goes unchecked, you have greed and you have oppressive systems, which is currently what the fashion world is. It's built on greed and oppression. And as women, we have to say, do we feel comfortable participating in that anymore? Is that the kind of world we want to support and live in? Or do we want to be responsible for creating a new world for our daughters, so a world where they feel not excluded or not enough? Like we need to shape this new world that we're going to live in, we can build a new world of fashion built on regenerative textiles too, and secondhand clothes. We can create the shift. We are the shift. It starts with us. So please don't think that that whatever you do is not enough. If we all make these little changes in our lives, I guarantee you we can start an even bigger collective shift. That's how it starts with us.
It starts with us. Thank you so much, Nat. It's been such a pleasure to you. Thank you.
I've loved it. Thank you, Beauty. And thank you to everybody watching. We'll see you soon. Read my column at Remake Our World for my No New Clothes column to keep up with everything.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
I just love hearing someone talk so passionately about what they believe in. And it's so inspiring to look at my own impact and potential for change.
Yes, and her message of you are enough really resonated with me. It's something we can all stand to remember more often. Right, Amanda?
Absolutely. You are enough. We are enough. We're in this together. I really felt like that resonated as well. So with that being said, that is a wrap on the broadcast for PoshFest 2020. I can't believe it. It went by so fast. So thank you all for joining us for this really unique PoshFest weekend. And don't forget Manish's challenge to connect with 5 new Poshers if you haven't already.
Yes, 5. That's such a good remember. I need to do that. And before we go, I want to make sure that we give a shout out to everybody who made this PoshFest possible. There's so many people put their heart, soul, time, effort into PoshFest. And I want to thank you, the community, for attending, Team Posh, our speakers. Anyone else, Amanda?
I mean, yes, thank you to each and every one of you, our sponsors. We couldn't have done it without you, like Audiel said. And don't forget, if you're a ticket holder, we do have our breakout sessions following this. But again, thank you all. We hope to see you soon and sending you tons of Posh love.
Happy poshing.
Bye.